One of my most vivid memories as a small boy is my mum tucking me up in bed each night. She tucked the duvet so tight around me, it was like this cocoon, and then the stories would start. Now, I had all the books that kids love, from Dennis the Menace to The Magic Faraway Tree to Noggin the Nog. But my favourite nights were the nights when my mum would tell me real-life stories of adventurers and explorers and the epic voyages around the world. The people who went to the edge of the map, went to the edge of the known world, and instead of being paralyzed by fear or backing off, these people stepped forward. My mum was a teacher. She was the kind of teacher who inspired you to grab life by the horns. She gave off this energy, this playful encouragement to go off in search of your fullest, truest self. With a wry smile, she would turn setbacks into opportunities. Obstacles became challenges to overcome. Now, as a small boy, I can remember coming to her frequently with problems. All I wanted was an answer, a solution. Instead, that wry smile would form on her face, and sometimes a glint would appear in her eye. And that was really frustrating. But once my frustration subsided, that smile reminded me to approach the problem I was facing with an insatiable sense of curiosity, to sit with it rather than run away from it, even if I didn't have the first clue where to start. That insatiable sense of curiosity is perhaps the greatest gift my mum ever gave me. It's maybe not too much of a surprise that today I'm a behavioural scientist and professional futurist. My work centres on understanding how the world's changing and how the resulting complex, ambiguous, uncertain environments that arise from those changes go on and affect our thinking, our decision-making, even our well-being. That brings me to today. Today, we stand at a pivotal moment in human history. Trends and megatrends aren't just accelerating, they're converging. It's not just an era of disruption. It's ushering in an era of radical social change. A magnitude of change that is far beyond the Industrial Revolution. Perhaps a magnitude of change that we haven't seen since we stopped being nomadic hunter-gatherers and became a settled agrarian society 10,000 years ago. Just this time it's going to happen far faster. Disruptive environments can easily become dizzying and dangerous. We already see entrepreneurs and CEOs talk about the complexities and stress of making decisions in this world. If we listen to the wider society, we often hear people say they have this feeling that the world is spinning faster than ever before. Levels of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, even burnout seem to rise every single year. Yet the level of changes I'm talking about are just warming up. If we're going to be successful in navigating this world of heightened disruption, we need to take a step back. We need to think about how we approach problems. We need to think about our thinking. All too often we're told if we want to push forward, we must dig deeper, even if we're already overwhelmed. We're often told that if we want to prevail, we have to find unlimited willpower. Mental toughness, resiliency, hardiness are so often portrayed with this image of an emotionless, stoic warrior. Well, that common sense sounds great on the surface. I submit to you, it's not the way. 30 years on from those bedtime stories, and I found my own work coming full circle. The realization that those stories of adventurers and that wry smile are far more than mere childhood stories. Breakthroughs in our understanding of stress, as well as leaps forward in brain science and neuroscience, show us that those stories and ones like them have a significant key and importance is that surviving and thriving in times of heightened disruption is not about emotional suppression. It's not about mindlessly lurching forward. Resiliency isn't about being unflinching, resolute, unbreakable. True mental toughness is about being adaptable and flexible. It's about being curious and creative. It's about being playful. When we're playful, we're at our best. We think with a clarity and a swiftness. We bring teams together rather than push them apart. One of the stories I asked my mum to tell me over and over is the terrifying truth is stranger than fiction adventure of Sir Ernest Shackleton and his ill-fated expedition to Antarctica. Now, as many of you will know, Shackleton was captain of the Endurance. He and his crew attempted to sail through 1,000 miles of pack ice and land on the shores of Antarctica. But just one day's journey away from their intended destination, the temperature dropped. Disaster struck. The ship became pinned in the ice. The conditions were relentless. For 10 months, Shackleton did everything he could to keep spirits high. From card games to sing-alongs to putting on plays to football matches and dog sled racing on the ice. Even when the Endurance finally sank and took with it precious supplies. Even when they faced an 800-mile voyage in a small lifeboat across rough, freezing waters, Shackleton was able to rally his men. If you're unfamiliar with this story, I urge you to look it up. It's one of the greatest rescue missions of all time. But here's the point that sticks in my mind from all the times my mum told it me. When Shackleton was selecting his crew, the men he'd lead into the great unknown, the people he'd entrust his life to, he famously said, "The quality I look for most is optimism." But it wasn't optimism as we define it today. He wasn't merely looking for somebody with a happy disposition. Shackleton was looking for people, crewmates, who could navigate relentless conditions with playfulness. People able to frame and reframe even the toughest of challenges. Or as he himself put it, people able to withstand the agonies of thirst with laughter and song. 100 years later, from Shackleton's time, and we're starting to understand what he intuitively knew. Playfulness is far beyond optimism. Playfulness is about adaptability, flexibility. When we're playful, we're curious and creative. When we're playful, situations lose their ability to engulf us. As adults, playfulness isn't about mucking around. It's about diminishing anxiety, reducing overload, becoming more creative. I'm not telling you to be silly or irreverent. I'm not telling you to even take life's challenges less seriously. I'm telling you that by maintaining a sense of playfulness in your life, you will be able to frame and reframe anything thrown at you. When we're playful, we tap into specific cognitive resources that allow us to bravely, effectively, courageously take on even the toughest of situations. You might not have to go on a mission to unexplored lands. I sincerely hope none of you will ever have to go on a seemingly impossible rescue mission. But the level of disruption that our world is about to go through is bringing with it its own version of an uncharted territory. And we have no option. We have to sail into it. If we lose playfulness, we lose countless other things with it. We switch from open-mindedness to rigidity. from empathy to apathy, from optimism to pessimism, from intimacy to aloofness. If we lose playfulness, if we lose our wry smile, we start to perceive challenges as threats instead of opportunities. One of the incredible things, and Shackleton knew this and saw this firsthand, if we actively embrace playfulness in our lives, we change not only ourselves, but those around us. So how do we cultivate playfulness? The incredible thing is we already know what playfulness feels like. For some, it might be a distant memory of youth. Some others will find on reflection that they're playful in their leisure time, but promote their professional lives as stressful and serious business. When I was creating the PPM method, or the pause, play, move method, a method that equips entrepreneurs with the skills needed to scale their businesses, move forward, avoid burnout in disruptive times, there's a simple, easy exercise I give them, and I offer it to you now as a gentle toe dip into the world of playfulness. Regardless of your role, I want you to commit to something. Here's your action point. Starting tomorrow, I want you to dedicate just 10 minutes of your working day to doing something playful. Shake things up. Run a meeting in an entirely different way than you normally would. Adopt a strategy that you wouldn't normally favor. Create an obstacle for yourself by taking down notes with your underused hand. The task you select isn't what matters. What's important is you start to play with the status quo. Some of the most dramatic shifts happen when we're given permission to play. When we're allowed to not just focus on the outcome. We focus on being experimental. We color outside the lines. We think beyond the normal boundaries. So give yourself permission right now. Our cultural norm of stress and seriousness is outdated. Its inflexibilities that we perceive as strength, in fact, make it fragile. Now, you won't be able to undo a lifetime of conditioning overnight. But stick with it, and as you do, as you embody the playfulness principle in your life, you'll start to notice you show up differently. You bring a new energy and new perspectives to your work and life. You might even find you stand a little taller and other people are drawn to the energy you're giving off. You may even catch yourself with a wry smile on your face when the challenge really builds. As you build that daily habit of play, you will start to benefit from the inherent qualities playfulness brings with it. So when the pack ice has you trapped, when your ship is about to sink, and it feels like help is 1,000 miles away, you will be one of those rare people who knows the best way to withstand the agonies of thirst is with laughter and song. Thank you.